Hello, everybody. Welcome to Eavesdropping at the Movies. I'm Jose.
I'm Mike.
And today we're going to be talking about A Simple Favor, which we've just come from.
A butty favour.
Yes.
The film has a lot of French charm.
The film has a fantastic 1960s pop soundtrack with people like Serge Gainsbourg and so on. That is really kind of marvelous to listen to. And gives the film kind of a flavor, doesn't it? It kind of puts it in a particular vein.
Yeah, a little bit. It's I would sort of describe it as like Gone Girl, but you know what I mean? Gone Girl, but like livelier.
I would describe it as a combination of Legally Blonde so this is, if I was pitching it, I'd say it's a cross between Legally Blonde and Le Diabolique.
Right.
You know, that's what it is, because they cite it. So it's like a thriller, but actually it's a very funny one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, or it's like a very dark comedy, kind of depending where you want to put the accent on.
Well, the advertising, which has been absolutely ubiquitous, placed it as from the darker side of Paul Feig, director of Bridesmaids. So Bridesmaids it's the film for which he's kind of most known. He also did the reboot of Ghostbusters, which was all female. And I think he did a couple of Melissa McCarthy ones as well. I think he did Spy.
Yes.
So, I mean, as much as I like Bridesmaids, I don't think he's a particularly good director, to be honest. I mean, there's all sorts of places in Ghostbusters that I think, God, there's just jokes here that you're not telling that could be so much funnier. On the other hand, I think this film, I think it has a real aptitude for generating kind of thrills and mystery.
I thought it was brilliant when I was watching it, because he does something that's incredibly difficult to do, which is, you know, on the one hand, to get laughs, which he got from me pretty consistently. I mean, they weren't like huge belly laughs like in Bridesmaids, but they were consistent laughs. He also made you feel kind of empathetic for the characters. You know, certainly Anna Kendrick, who's brilliant in it. You know, and then also he brings it like quite dark, like extremely dark, without actually making you dislike the characters.
Yeah.
You know, which I think is really quite something. So as we were coming out of the theater, or as we were coming home, I thought, you know, there's not like anything to look at. There's nothing distinguished, like, you know. So I know what you mean.
That's not where the film's talents lie.
No, exactly.
It's
so that's what I wanted to draw attention to. How a film could be, you know, really really achieve something in spite of having, you know, of not being conversant with the more sophisticated dimensions of visual storytelling.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And also that it was badly projected, and they didn't fix it when I complained. The film was over scanning the screen.
Yes.
So it was not the wrong aspect ratio. Well, it was, but it wasn't like squashed. It was just cropped, and you could tell in certain shots, which was quite annoying.
I mean, we love going to Cineworld, but I must say, like, the problems with the projecting at Cineworld are pretty consistent. Every 2 months or so, there's some like big major disaster.
Yeah.
You know.
This wasn't as major as the other ones have been. I mean, you know, I was able to forget about it.
Yeah.
Until just some shot came up where someone's forehead was cut off, and you went, "Oh, they're fucking projecting it wrong." However, for the most
maybe
part,
we shouldn't comment on the visual side.
Well, I think we can still say we got a pretty good impression of what the visual style was.
Yeah.
It's just a bit annoying that they didn't respond to my complaint or see what I was talking about. Anyway, so let's say what it's about. Anna Kendrick is the single mum who is the perkiest, bubbliest, most helpful, innocent thing you've ever seen in your life. And she's always she runs this vlog called Hello Moms or something like that, and she hello moms, I'm in the kitchen, we're making brownies, we're making this, that and the other, we're making blah, blah, blah. And nobody looks at this blog. It's purely for her, basically her friends take the piss out of it behind her back. And there's this other mum at the school, played by Blake Lively, who is filthy mouthed, swears in front of her kid, incredibly well dressed,
Yes.
in sort of highest fashion, and clearly a kind of high professional, pretty well off. And because their kids want to hang out together, their kids are like 6 or 7 years old, because their kids want to have a play date, the mums end up hanging out and getting to know each other. And they become sort of friends, but not quite, because that's really not what Blake Lively's character's about.
Yeah.
But it's totally what Anna Kendrick's character's about. So they play off each other quite interestingly. And then Blake Lively, Anna Kendrick is quite taken advantage of by everyone, but especially by Blake Lively. Saying, can you do this for me? Can you do that? And she's just so happy to help out. She's the little volunteer that everyone knows. And then she gets a call from Blake Lively the one time. Hi, can you help me out? I need a favour. A simple favour, she says. And she says, yeah, I'll look after the kid, whatever. And so she looks after her kid, but then the mum doesn't come back.
Yeah.
And the whole thing develops about where has she gone and what happened to her. We should say, I suppose, we are very much going to get into spoiler territory now.
Yeah. Let's just dwell on those first scenes because, you know, for me, it's the first time that I've really loved Blake Lively, you know?
Yeah.
Those opening sequences, I thought she's was like
fantastic.
I thought she was like Ava Gardner or somebody like an animal, really, like you know, like a big cat, you know, playing with this little Anna Kendrick, right? Like,
yeah. The height difference is important. I think she's got a good 6 inches on her at least.
There's the height difference, but actually she handles all the sophistication and the martinis and, you know, her sexual history as she recounts it with that kind of brittle sophistication that you expect of someone like that. She's actually very, very good.
Yeah.
And I don't remember seeing her as good as she is in that whole first bit of the film ever before, really.
To be honest, I don't remember seeing her ever. I've seen Green Lantern, which apparently she was in, but I don't remember a thing about it.
Yes.
And that's where
she met Ryan.
The only thing I've seen her in. So actually, this is the only thing I've seen her in.
She was in a film that I didn't see, but that did make a big splash.
The Town?
No, there's something about a shark or...
Well, there's The Sisterhood of the Travelling Pants.
No, I haven't seen that.
I know we've got Accepted, Simon Says, Elvis and Annabelle, New York, I Love You, The Private Lives of Pippa Lee, Hick, Savages, The Shallows, Cafe Society. The
Shallows, I think, is what it is. And also, I thought she was wonderful in Savages, which is a...
Oh, yeah, The Shallows is a survival thriller about a surfer.
So, I haven't seen that, but that made a splash. But I love her in Savages. Actually, I love Savages, which is...
Oliver Stone.
Oliver Stone, yeah. I like that very much. And that kind of just disappeared, really.
I mean, weirdly, I feel like I recognise it, but I really haven't seen really.
Well, she became a star on television in Gossip Girl, so that's how I know her from.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected you to, but I did.
I've seen Gilmore Girls.
Gossip Girl is a very girly show. It's about kind of New York society. So, did you see the connection to Reese Witherspoon? I think the whole of the beginning is really Legally Blonde.
I didn't, to be honest.
Well, because she's super perky, she's like super organized, you know, she's the person who volunteers for everything, you know, and everybody makes fun of her as if she's some kind of idiot, really, you know. And then, of course, the tables get turned. So there's, you know, that plot of Legally Blonde where, you know, everybody thinks she's stupid and super nice, but actually, you know, through her niceness, she turns the tables on everybody, right? That, you know.
To be fair, I don't remember Legally Blonde all that well. Wasn't the twist in that more that she used her knowledge of sort of shoes and makeup and hair and stuff to solve the case or to win the case in court, as opposed to being like a super legal genius?
I didn't say they were identical.
No.
No, that's not true. So the whole thing is that she used her knowledge of makeup and everything whilst being completely on top of the law, right? So the point there is that two things are not contradictory. So here, you know, is this hyper-organized person who can't stop doing things and who volunteers for everything and who's super nice. And in that sense, the characters resemble each other. And then, of course, the other bit is that there's that, you know, that shift in which actually she uses all of those skills of being super organized and what should she call herself? A problem solver, you know. But instead of baking cookies, she solves a crime, right? So there is that analogy there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. What did you make of the sort of budding friendship between the two early on?
Well, I kind of I liked it, and I thought it was in character because, you know, one is like really desperate to be liked, right? And actually is never quite sure of having been liked, you know. And the other one, well, the thing about the other one is that she's a mystery, because actually when I first thought of this film as I was watching it, I thought, oh my God, it's like a film noir, but played for laughs, right? So it's very bright. It's a very brightly lit film, and actually it's quite colorful and so on. But on the other hand, it has many of the same tropes as a film noir,
Yeah.
right? You know, so it's like it's about finding the woman or uncovering the woman. It's a woman. Yeah, it's like solving the problem of women is like the narrative trajectory of so many noirs. And actually, this is what this is about.
Yeah, well, I think that's where, for me, the comparison with Gone Girl comes in. That's where it's at its strongest, is the central idea of who was this woman,
Yeah.
and kind of building a profile of her personality and her history through investigation and it motivated by her disappearance, and then obviously something deeper is going on, and she's kind of in Gone Girl, it was very much that she was passive in her own life, and then was revealed kind of not to be, or took control for herself. Whereas in this, there's no real suggestion that she's passive in her own life, passive in her own life. Like from the very beginning, she's a professional, she's on top of things, and she is dominant in pretty much every scene that she's in. But still, the idea of not knowing who she is.
I thought this was more of a female two-hander than Gone Girl.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, and which is to me part of the film's appeal, you know, because I mean the normal thing would have been to give a more prominent role to the husband, right, and make either the wife or the Anna Kendrick character a more subsidiary character. So I thought the film narratively did something very interesting by making, you know, the solution to this problem of who is this woman and what was her past is actually being solved by another woman, and not, as would usually be the case, by a noir hero or something, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was really kind of unusual.
Yeah, has that kind of amateur hour sort of, what was she called, Nancy Drew?
Yes.
Yeah, Nancy Drew sort of thing to it, and it's very good fun. Actually, the film kind of shifts sort of gears at some point. So when it shifts into Anna Kendrick taking initiative for herself and investigating, she takes like 2 days off and sends the kids to live with one of the other parents. Says we only some time to ourselves, and that's because she's doing her sleuthing at that point. The film really changes gears, and it becomes this. I like the change in the character at that point. You know, you see it very early on when she's talking to the fashion designer, Blake Lively's boss.
Oh yes, that was great.
And then she remembers something that Blake Lively's told her about, you know, you can't let them win, you've got to stand up and blah blah blah. And so she comes back at him in a really snappy, sort of catty way, and wins the day because he doesn't have a comeback as good. But then, you know, clearly that kind of sinks into her, you know, and so when she's taking the initiative for herself, and looking for clues and investigating and going to her mother and, you know, pretending to be a cleaning lady and this, that, and the other just to get in. Her character develops in a really, I liked everything that was changing about her, you know. Not that I felt like she was like too much of a pussy before, because I liked who she was at the start, but I liked the way that she takes control.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, I like that very much as well. And actually, I mean, what surprised me about the film is that it feels very light and sparkly and funny, which I think is really the achievement of the director and Anna Kendrick, you know, because she's got such great comic timing, right? Like, you know, and kind of a lot of the laughs are the way she says things or the way that she performs things, right? And the director allows her to do it because actually the material is really dark, right? So there's a whole thing about incest, and actually that's never... Well, let me ask you, this is a question. I mean, did you think when she was telling the story, when her husband caught on that the child might not be his and that she was probably having an incestuous relationship with the brother, and that was from the moment that she saw them with a kid, Did you think actually that we were meant to think that actually yes, it's true?
What do you mean? That she's having a relationship with a half brother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so too.
Yeah,
Right?
I think
So
so.
you know,
I mean, the film does interesting things in showing you one thing and having someone else tell something over the top at times.
Yeah.
So when Anna Kendrick is telling Blake Lively about this, it's her darkest secret.
Yeah.
She says she met her half brother for the first time after 30 years of not knowing she had one, and then they kissed,
Yes.
and that's where it ended.
Yes.
And as she's denying that anything else happened, the flashback is showing you that they slept together.
Right.
And then a little bit later on, when Blake Lively turns up at her grave and all is revealed about what actually happened and what the plot was, she kind of reveals everything truthfully. And then she gets to, and then my sister went out to the lake and drowned herself, and I wasn't there. And again, what you're being told is not what you're being shown. What you're being shown is her drowning her sister.
Yeah.
And so the film, that tension between the two is really, really well played. And at both times, the woman who is saying the lie is being called on it by the woman who's listening to it. And the first time, Blake Lively says, "Nah, bullshit, you fucked him." And the second time, Anna Kendrick says, "No, bullshit, you drowned her." While that's happening.
But this is more. This is, I think, more interesting or more sophisticated, I think. Because actually what you're shown is a flashback of her remembering this incident between her husband and her brother, right? In which kind of, she denies it and the camera lingers on her husband's look, right? So actually, nothing is explicitly stated. So it's kind of left theoretically ambiguous, except, what's conveyed to you is that you think that the husband's right, right? So it's a flashback in which kind of, presumably through her head or feelings, the husband's word is given as the truth. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting.
And also in that scene, in the flashback with the husband, you do that thing of, again, he basically challenges her to deny it, and she stutters and can't, which is exactly what happened when Blake Lively challenged her to deny it. And so that's, again, I think, it's the strongest clue that this is for real. They would absolutely, they were carrying on together.
Yes.
I don't think you're supposed to be in any doubt about that. What did you make of the fact that she was having this relationship with her brother? Like, it seems so contrary to everything else about the character, but it seems to be trying to say something about there being a darkness in everyone, perhaps, and it's like so much more dark in her than it would be in anybody else. And maybe that's like in reference, maybe that kind of conflicts with then, or it contrasts so sharply with how bright she's on the outside that like she's trying to cover that up.
Well, I think what it's trying to do for me is actually show a real homology, a real comparison, that the two protagonists have, much more in common than actually their exterior would indicate, really. So, kind of this confident, elegant, sophisticated, urban woman, right? She's a self-made woman, and you're then given her whole backstory. Though she actually does remain extraordinarily confident, and ruthless. Whereas, I think with the Anna Kendrick character, she's given like this quite dark past. But she herself is not rendered a dark character. She's strong, but not ruthless. She does remain kind of good in spite of, this thing. She hasn't committed a crime. She hasn't killed anyone. But, she's had sex with her half-brother.
That is a crime.
Is it a crime?
Sure, that's a crime, yeah. She's had a kid with him as well.
I think it's a taboo, but I'm not sure.
I'm sure it's a crime.
Oh,
okay. Not that I've looked into this. But she had a kid with him. She had a kid with him as well. That's another thing,
Yes.
That's extra bad. I'm not. I don't stand in judgment. two
Well, it's
consenting
not
adults.
like killing someone, is it? You know,
No.
though the interesting thing, or what the film makes interesting, is that actually the murder that they initially commit, her and her sister, which forces them to run away, is as a result of parental abuse. Like her father is so abusive that they basically set the house on fire. So it's kind of it's kind of rendered. I don't know about it. Yeah, it's given reasons, if not quite rendered understandable, if you know what I mean.
Well, parenting is a theme throughout the film, and that in a way is kind of where it starts for Blake Lively's character, I suppose.
Yes.
But I mean, because Anna Kendrick's character is completely dominated by basically how good a parent she is and how much she looks after everything, and this talk
being a
of
mom
being mom is a 24/7 job, 24-hour job, and then you get to when she's investigating Blake Lively's past and she meets her mum, and she says, she says, "Are you a parent?" And Anna Kendrick goes, "Yeah, I love it," and she says, "Then you're mentally ill," or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's a fucking horrible job, and you have to do it or something. And some kids are just born bad, or something like that. She says, this kind of really contrasting thing that Anna Kendrick just doesn't think at all, or won't let her think.
I do want to get into the supporting cast now because Blake Lively's mom is played by Jean Smart, who is just terrific. I mean, as soon as I saw her, she made me happy because, I haven't seen her since she was a big television star in the 80s and 90s with Designing Women, and I haven't seen much of her really. And I think that's part of Paul Feig's talent, that he can bring in Rennell's, who plays like this gay dad really, and Jean Smart, and kind of make them, particularly Jean Smart, inhabit like a kind of a gothic character really, which is what she's playing, but actually kind of also make it human and funny.
Yeah. Is Paul Feig gay, I wonder?
I don't know. Why is that?
I'm just curious because this film has a flavour of that to some degree. I think in Andrew Rannell's character and also Rupert Friends, the designer. There's kind of a sensibility of that somehow, and I mean maybe this is just like over stereotyping, but it's like the fashion sort of conscious. Like there's so much in the set and costume design of everything.
Yeah,
you learn so much about everybody through the way they dress and
maybe that's
make
the
their houses.
writer. Maybe because it's written by a woman. So maybe those jokes about how to wear a Hermes scarf and that you don't wear a Hermes scarf tied like that in front, on top of a Gap T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I was married to a lady.
yes. Though I do know where you're coming from actually, but I also just think that's one of the nice things about, this particular time. Though maybe not. I mean, you could argue that the Rennell's character is a bit of a stereotype.
Oh, yeah.
And, he's just there for comic effect. But I loved it,
Well, yeah, and I was going to say the same about Rupert Friend.
Wow.
I think both the characters head towards the line of
cliche.
Cliche over stereotyping.
Yes.
But don't quite reach it, and they're again very likable.
Yes.
To both of them.
It's almost used like a color in the film or a tone. It's very well used, actually.
Yeah.
The film has this rhythm, and really they come in almost as punchlines, and they brighten up the joint. So, I like that very much. I think it's a much better film than I was expecting.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And there's very much a playoff on Le Diabolique. Have you heard of Le Diabolique?
I know it, but I've not seen it.
Okay. Well, it's a French film. With Vera Clouzot and Simone Signoret, who are both great, right? And the whole thing is that, through half of the film, you're led to believe that there's a conspiracy between the husband and the mistress to kill off the wife, right?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, you realize that the conspiracy is really between the mistress and the wife to kill off the husband. Right. And so the film does that kind of switch. And actually it refers, well, you think it's going to do that switch. And it refers to the film specifically,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you can see that, you know, that
When Anna
little-
Kendrick storms in and says, "Are you diabolicking me?"
Yes.
Absolutely. I think this film edges towards overcomplication towards the end, when it starts to get a little bit convoluted and kind of twist back on itself more, not necessarily more than it needs to, because again ultimately it kind of makes sense. But there's once things start coming out and it's revealed that Blake Lively is still alive and there was this plan to get this $4 million from life insurance. Once that has been kind of established, then there's so much sort of going back on each other, and that scene right at the end where Anna Kendrick pulls a gun on them and then shoots the guy in his chest, and it's revealed to be a squib. It's like it's almost like the parody version of a scene like that, where it's like the gun's on you, now it's on me, now it's on you.
Well, the whole thing is that the whole thing is played for laughs.
Yeah, a little bit, but I don't think that scene is quite so much like it when it turns out that it's just a squib and they were trying to, and Blake Lively knows clearly that they're just playing it. That's not there for laughs.
Well,
that's there as a twist.
Well,
there as
it
a twist in the
shifts
scene.
tones, so shifts is the wrong word. It manages its tones incredibly dexterously.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, there is that moment where it's tension, but then actually when she runs outside and the car gets her, that's a laugh.
That's a laugh, yeah.
You know?
No, that bit is sure. I'm just
so-
saying that specific bit though. I think that's where it's the plot overcomplicating itself. I think
Yes.
a little bit.
And
But I do like how I do like that ultimately on top of it, it has this kind of almost melodramatic air of mystery at points and thrillerness, and like so for instance, the whole backstory with the half brother and sleeping with him, and that's kind of revealed gradually as that their relationship is a little bit more than at first you thought, and she's kind of hiding it. But then it's when you're actually the first thing you know about her husband and half brother is that they were killed together in a car accident.
Yes.
And that's a source of that's why she's a single mother, and that's this kind of source of her grief. And it's revealed very kind of organically and brilliantly, I think, in that flashback with the husband, that the husband has driven into that barrier deliberately to kill the brother and kill himself because he has nothing left to live for now that he knows the kid isn't even his.
Yes.
And it's a brilliant flashback, and it's a brilliant twist.
Yes.
And that really
it
got
is.
me.
Yes. Yes. So it's a fascinating film because, on the one hand, it feels quite light and poppy, and it does gain all of these laughs. On the other hand, it's very unusual to see both protagonists in a film be as dark as these two are, even though at the very end of the film, you still think of, Anna Kendrick as like, poppy and bright and happy and, but, she's,
Has this dimension.
yes, it's a past as dark as, the femme fatales.
There were a couple of things I saw coming, and I don't know if that's a failure of the film in a way, because I like to be surprised by these things, and normally I am. I saw it coming that there would be twins fairly early on, and I also saw it coming that she would be live streaming right at the end. Partly because I thought that's what I would fucking do. I mean, like in that situation, if I'm in Anna Kendrick's situation, I'm kind of thinking I'm recording every conversation, whether you know it or not.
I knew that she was. It came as a surprise to me because I thought for sure she'd be recording it, like she'd have her own phone on or something. But actually, the live streaming did come as a surprise to me, even though I felt stupid because she is a vlogger with a V. So, I should have thought of it. I was just thinking of the recording.
Yeah. The other thing I didn't like about the film is the very, very end, the intertitles that come up and say, such and such character is doing this, such and such character is doing 20 years in prison, this character has now got a novel out.
Yes.
Because like that, if you're telling a true story, like Catch Me If You Can or something, if you're telling a true story and you want to find out, okay, where are these real people now? Absolutely perfect. That's fine. But if you're making it up, then I don't need to know where these fucking bullshit people end up. Like, end the film properly. So that there's a shot of just Anna Kendrick. It's a last vlog, and she kind of signs off the vlog. And I'm going, that is a perfect final shot to the movie. You open with a vlog, you end with a vlog. It's all been wrapped up. But then it goes, no, we're going to try and make you laugh a little bit more with these stupid titles that mean nothing. I didn't like that.
Well, I know what you mean, but actually I was glad of them because it made you come out of the theater happy.
Not
right?
me.
Well,
I thought it ruined the end.
Well, you thought it ruined the end, but it changed the tone. The tone went into a light tone, and I like coming out of the theater in that way, actually. So, and I think it's more acceptable in comedy than drama, right? And I think that, to me, the achievement of this film is kind of managing those different dimensions. Like, kind of telling you the story and making you come out of the theater feeling kind of happy.
Well, it's the classic Hollywood happy end, isn't it?
Well,
she gets her comeuppance and everything's sorted out, and Anna Kendrick goes off happy and fulfilled and improved and satisfied,
but with
Blake Lively goes to prison.
Incest in her past.
Yeah, but I mean, she seems kind of happy with it, to be honest.
I know, that's what's amazing. And you come out of the theater feeling kind of happy about it too.
I was happy with it all the way through. I don't mind that. I thought it was the steamiest scene in the whole film.
Anyway, let's wrap up. I think it's a really kind of considerable accomplishment, actually. It really took me by surprise, and I think it's something that's very, very difficult to do, and it kind of has increased my respect for the director, kind of.
Well, it's given me some respect for him, because I didn't really have any before, but this is quite good. No, it's true. Well,
I love Bridesmaids.
Yeah.
Bridesmaids had some jokes. I mean, they were very crude, but they made me laugh like anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the Melissa McCarthy character in that film
it's quite funny.
Genius.
But I think it's mainly down to the performance in that film. Whereas in this film, you can feel like his kind of guiding hand on the tone is very important.
Yes.
That's kind of the way I feel.
Anyway,
I liked it. I think it's good.
I liked it very much, and I would highly recommend it.
But I also recommend that, like, if you heard this podcast, it probably won't be quite as good because it ruined everything. But that's the way it goes.
Well, we hope you listen to this podcast after you've seen the film.
But if you haven't,
and then let us know what you think.
We are on
Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud, iTunes, WordPress.
All the rest.
Yes. So this is Eavesdropping at the Movies. Thank you very much for listening.
Ta-ta.
Bye-bye.